Zoom, you'll be getting three very, very important points. Number one, why should we be concerned with electromagnetic radiation? Why should we be concerned with exposing devices, electronic devices, to the young people and the older people in our homes? And what is the effect of electromagnetic radiation on our body? All right, we call it EMR. Secondly, what is Emguard all about? How was it developed? And what is the technology behind Emguard? And why every single home needs an Emguard in today's world? It is 100%, no doubt about it, you need it. And number three, how you can actually leverage on this new technology in the market by Enagic and to build a massive business all around the world, or whether you're in Malaysia and Singapore, or you're from Philippines or Indonesia, and also all around the world. So there'll be three major things I'll be sharing on tonight's Zoom. And I want you to walk away from this Zoom enlightened on the technology, on the opportunity, and also on the danger of EMR. And that's going to help you make a decision to own an Emguard. And not only that, you can also develop in the business. All right. So let me introduce to you Enagic Japan's latest patented technology, Emguard. And Emguard stands for electromagnetic guard, which means this device is going to guard you from electromagnetic frequency harms. Now, why do we need Emguard today? Very simple. Because 20 years ago, how did kids grow up? I remember growing up 20 years ago, we did not have iPads, we did not have computer, all these new devices around us. We never had all those things. We were playing outside in the rain, playing football, playing bottle caps, erasers, and playing with our friends. So we grew up in a different environment compared to kids today, because kids today, they're just immersed in devices, and it is a concern for a lot of young parents. All right. So if you're watching this, if you are a parent or you have young children at home, or if you are a grandparent and you see that your young kids, your young generation now is getting all kinds of ADHD, they're getting eyesight problem, they're getting concentration problem. These devices actually has some relation to these kind of effects on the kids, right? Because today they are just surrounded by it. All right. And this is a news that came out about a month ago from France, that they actually halted the sales of the iPhone 12. Now, I'm not sure any of you here use the iPhone 12. We are not here to badmouth any brand. In fact, I'm an Apple user myself, but this is a news that came out on BBC about a month ago, that they had to stop the sales of iPhone 12 over radiation levels, which means even though these devices have to go through testing, measuring, safety testing, but when they found out that the radiation levels was actually exceeding the accepted level, they have to halt the sales of it. So it is a concern, guys. And it's not just phones. Around us in our homes, we have all kinds of devices. Okay? So some of you could be sitting in your living room, all right, and watching this Zoom on your laptop or on your TV. And this is actually how your living room would look like if you can see the electromagnetic radiation, the frequencies. And I would safely say, if all of us can see the electromagnetic radiation pollution in our home, we would not sleep in peace. We would not sit in these kind of environments in peace if we can see it. But what is the tricky part of these things? Electromagnetic radiation, you can't see it, you can't smell it, you can't touch it. The only way you can feel it is the after effects when you're exposed to it. Who here, when you use your laptop, phone, or you're surrounded by electronics, high electrostatic environment, right? Sometimes you feel uncomfortable, you feel heaviness, or you feel fatigue, or you feel you can't concentrate so easily when you're in certain environments. Anybody have such an experience before? Type 1 in the chat box. Or maybe you have been on the phone for too long. Maybe you're in front of a laptop too long and you feel uneasy. Type 1 in the chat box. Because if you have felt such feelings before in certain scenarios, what it means is you are being affected by the electromagnetic radiation around you. All right, type 1 in the chat box, guys. Don't, this Zoom, there's 19 of us. Let's be interactive. If you never felt it, don't have to type. But if you have felt it, go ahead and type number 1 in the chat box. Okay, so this is how the typical house would look like. So what are our typical EM radiation sources found around us? So we have mobile phones, laptops, sockets. I have a socket right down there below my desk to charge all my phone, laptop, and everything. microwave, high tension wire, air conditioning, LED bulbs. LED bulbs are very high in electromagnetic radiation, and even televisions, right? So these are things that is very high in EMR. They are the sources. Now, this is a book that is published here in Malaysia by the Consumer Association of Penang. Penang is one of our biggest states. And they published this book many years ago, right? You will know that this book is not new based on the pictures that they choose to use on the book. You know, the computers were still very big back then. The phone is the old Nokia phone, which means this book has been around for a long time. And they mention the title, Low-Level Radiation, the Invisible Killer, Growing Threat from Electromagnetic Fields. What does that mean, ladies and gentlemen? It means for the longest of time, experts, doctors, professors, researchers, scientists have already been talking about the danger of radiation from our devices. But the thing is this, we know there is a harm, but we don't know how harmful these kind of radiation actually are. And nobody has told us what are the methods we can do to prevent the harm coming from these devices. But today, in Magic, I'm very proud to say they have developed a technology that is going to go global in time to come that can actually solve one of the world's biggest problems. All right. Now, WHO back in 2011 also spoke about radiation, and they actually classified radio frequency electromagnetic fields as possibly carcinogenic. Carcinogenic means cancer causing. All right. So these are all the research done by bodies around the world warning us about EMR, and even Apple themselves. If you have an Apple iPhone, if you go into your settings, your legal and regulatory, and you go to a column called RF exposure, you can do this in your free time. You will actually see this entire write-up in your iPhone. And Apple themselves tells you to reduce exposure to RF energy, use hands-free, built-in speakerphone, headphone, or other similar accessories. All right? Because these phone companies, they realize these devices emit a lot of electromagnetic radiation. All right? And to protect themselves, they also tell you not to use it directly on your head, use a hands-free or use the speakerphone. But most of the time, ladies and gentlemen, how are we speaking on the phone? We have the phone right onto our ear, next to our brain and our eyes, which is very, very dangerous. Okay? So this is what Apple themselves even says so. So let's understand now. We understand the few, what Apple has said and what WHO has said and all these examples that are given so far. But let's actually see how EM radiation actually affects our health. And to know that, there's this simple chart, and this chart is using a detector. A detector can actually accurately measure how much power density does a particular device or a cell tower or a television actually has. And depending on the reading, the higher the reading, if you're going into the green, yellow, orange, and red zone, we call it the red zone, we actually call that a health hazard, which means the power density is above 1,000, 1,500 to 2,000 microwatts. Yeah, if it's below 200, it's not dangerous. Anything above that, it is considered dangerous. All right. And what are the symptoms, ladies and gentlemen? Ear and sinus problem, concentration problem, brain cancer in severe cases, memory loss, fatigue, dizziness, heart problem, infertility. You may look at all these things like, gosh, Simon, are you sure that EMR can actually cause all these kind of problems? This is based on research. This is by the FCC. Headaches, body pain, eye soreness, immune system, sleeping problem, stress and anxiety problem, DNA mutation, and even skin irritation. So I want you guys to take a look at this chart. It is the power density of the radiation. So what I'm going to do now, I'm actually going to play you guys a few videos. And the first one is so very important because the first one of my colleagues, he actually went to an area in here in Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia, that this home, which is a place that he used to stay, that is about 80 meters away from a high tension tower, a cell tower. All right. And I want you to see what happens. And he has the detector with him.
This is where I used to live. And across the road, less than 100 meters.
So less than 100 meters?
High tension cable.
All right. There's the cable. There's the tower.
Very high density of electric field intensity.
And this is the detector.
If you notice, right, when I turn on the detector, as you can see, The entire airspace around my
1,400,
house is
1,500.
1,500 microwatts. Now this direction is where the high tension cable is not behind the ring, so there is nothing there. But once I move the detector towards the high tension cable, if you notice, the reading is between 1,800 microwatts to 2,000 microwatts steadily.
Above 1,800 microwatts. And ladies and gentlemen, if you see that this is the older generation detector, those of you who have bought the new ones, you will not even see this. When it shows 1, it means it has overloading, which means that the power density of the radiation source is above 2,000 microwatts. All right, and take a look how far this person is from the cell tower. And we spoke about just now on our slides, when you are above 200 to 1,000 to 1,500, you're already going into the orange and red zone. So can you imagine, there are many people out there living in environments that is actually emitting dangerous levels of electromagnetic radiation, and people don't know about it. They know about it when they start to feel the effect on the body. Maybe when they're weaker, they get certain problems in their body, they can't sleep well, and the moment they change the environment, everything changes. You would hear these kind of stories in the market. And many times out of all these cases, it is because of the interference of the electric fields in that environment. All right. So, ladies and gentlemen, I want to share with you guys what is a live blood analysis test on how this electromagnetic radiation. So you saw the detector, right? 1,800, 2,000, and these are all red zone red zone readings. And now we're going to show you how does this high EMI environment actually affect our blood. Now, this is Dr. Magda Harvest. She's a Canadian researcher and professor. Now, she researches in the areas of environmental and health effects of EMR pollution. And her work focuses on the biological effects of electromagnetic radiation. So, ladies and gentlemen, if you're not speaking, please make sure that your mic is muted, all right, to not cause any disturbance to the crowd. Thank you very much. And she focuses on the biological effects of EMR. And what did she found? All right, you can go and Google her, Dr. Magda Harvest. She has found that in a healthy red blood cell, in a clean AMI environment. Now, ladies and gentlemen, if you want to be in a clean AMI environment, first of all, you can't be surrounded by your devices. Second of all, you can't even be in a city environment. If you're living in a village, in a resort place where there's no high tension wire, there's no Wi-Fi, there's no cables, there's no electricity running through your walls, then that's what we call a clean AMI environment. If you're like me, you know, I'm in a concrete jungle in Kuala Lumpur. Everywhere I travel, doing my business, working, I'm always surrounded by devices. There's no two ways around it. In a way, it is almost impossible for me to be in a clean AMI environment. All right. However, if you find yourself in a clean environment, your red blood cells should be free flowing. All right. It should be free flowing and healthy looking. But once you expose yourself to 70 minutes on the computer, something called the rouleau formation starts to form. It's a French word. What it means is your red blood cells starts to stack together. And what could that lead to? Poor circulation, low oxygen transport, reduced waste removal, headache, difficulty concentrating, numbness and tingling. I'm sure some of you who, let's say you like to play games on your phone or you like to watch YouTube on your phone, you watch it for a longer time, you start to feel numbness on your fingertips. Anybody experienced this before? You can type 2 in the chat box. This is because of the rouleau formation. It is the blood formation changing in your body. Now, just 10 minutes on a wireless phone, the rouleau formation becomes worse. All right. So a lot of people ask me, so are the devices emitting similar amounts of radiation? I tell them no. Because take a look at that. 70 minutes on a computer, the formation is like that. 10 minutes on a wireless phone, just 10 minutes, the formation is really bad. And we found it to be really true when we did our own testing with our own team member here in Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia, because we got Emguard about 5 months ago. And this was done, I believe, in July, where we went to a clinic and we got one of our team members to get his blood test. And this is his blood results, live blood analysis, 20 minutes after using his phone. Just watching YouTube, scrolling Facebook. Now, the Emguard was not on in this experiment. Now, the second experiment is He continues to use the phone for 20 minutes. However, the Emguard was turned on. Ladies and gentlemen, this is where the magic happened. When I saw this with my own eyes, when I saw the doctor taking the blood, putting it onto the dish on the microscope, and I saw the formation, I was shocked. And I knew that this technology is unbelievable. All right, take a look at that. Continue 20 minutes of mobile phone usage after Emguard was turned on. You can see that the stacking has totally been resolved and the blood went back to free flowing. I have not seen any product that does not have to touch you. You don't have to consume anything. They can actually do this to a human body. It was absolutely amazing. So when I saw this, right, I was like, I need to market this globally. At this point of time, I've already owned 3 Emguards myself. I'm a user of Emguard, and I travel with Emguard everywhere I go. For those of you who are traveling a lot, if you're on the flight, it's a high EMI environment, use the Emguard. If you're checked into hotel rooms, high EMI environment, use the Emguard. Yeah, basically I travel with Emguard everywhere I go. All right. Now, there are 2 places in the body where EMR affects it very easily, and you can immediately see the effects of it. Number 1 is the blood, the fingertip blood. Number 2 is our eyes. Now, this is Dr. Liu from Taiwan. He's an Emguard user as well. He believes in the technology. He actually promotes the Emguard to all his eye patients. So for those of you who have eye problem, or you know people that suffers from eye problem, show them this experiment done by Dr. Liu in his laboratory in Taiwan. Now, what he has done is, in the first stage, he got 10 of his patients and he tested the blood circulation of their eyeballs. And if you ask any ophthalmologist or eye specialist, the better the blood circulation, the better your eyes, right? It's common sense, right? So the average blood circulation of these 10 people was 20.1 PSV, 20.1 cm per second. That was the average speed of the blood flow of the 10 people. Now, that was before any experiment was done. That was at the start. Now, the second stage, follow me, go to the second stage, go to the second red circle. This is after 30 minutes of using the phones. Okay, they use the phone for 30 minutes. And guess what? The blood circulation went from 20.1 to 16.2. It is a drop of 20%. 30 minutes on the phone. Let me ask everybody a question. On an average, how many hours do we spend on the phone a day? Can somebody give me an answer in the chat box? Your own answer. How many hours do you think you spend using your phone every day? Is it an hour? Is it 2 hours? Is it 3 hours? Or is it even 5, 6 hours? Give me your answer in the chat box. Okay, so you can type it in the chat box. Is it 2 hours, 3 hours, 4 hours, or 5 hours? Okay. And the last test, the third stage, is when Dr. Liu turned on the Emguard. And what happened was the blood circulation went from 16.2 all the way up to 25.9 cm per second. Can you see 25.9 is far higher than 20.1, the first experiment? So you may ask, how come? It's because, ladies and gentlemen, our phones are not the only EMR sources in our life. Making sense? There are many other sources around us that contributes to EMR. That's why when Emguard is turned on, it actually increases the eye blood circulation way above the first stage. Okay, so it is absolutely amazing. I believe it was about a couple weeks ago when I was doing an event in our office in Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia. There was a lady, I don't remember her name, Malaysian lady. She came up to share her testimonial that her astig on both eyes was about 100 plus, and she did an eye test after using Emguard for 5 months, 4 or 5 months, I can't really remember. Her astig went down by 50% each eyes. Yeah, one day we'll get her to take a video of her testimonial, and we can share it online if she permits it. Yeah, so I was amazed. There was a lady here that actually wanted to test it out on her eyes because she was very near to get astig glasses, and Emguard actually prevented that. So it was amazing hearing it from a user herself. Yeah, so ladies and gentlemen, this is the Emguard. I think there's nothing too complicated about the product. I think the most important thing is we have to realize, based on facts, based on articles, based on doctor report, that there are many reports out there to actually tell us, to educate us that there is harm in EMR. And how the Emguard actually works is when it turns on, it harmonizes your environment to actually reduce or suppress the effects of the radiation. So what is Emguard, ladies and gentlemen? It is what we believe here in Enagic is we believe it is the next essential appliance for every home and workspace, because workspace, some of your workspaces are the ones that has the highest level of interference. You have LED bulbs everywhere, you have cables running everywhere. Some of you, when you go to the office, you feel very different when you come back home. Some of you know what I'm talking about. The environment is different and it is affecting you without you knowing. So when you have the Emguard, it harmonizes the medium to high frequencies. It is a defender. It defends your family and loved ones. And what I love about it, it is low maintenance. You don't need to change anything about the Emguard. You just plug it into a power source, you leave it on, and it has a lifespan of a minimum of 5 years. Yeah? So this is the Emguard, ladies and gentlemen. Very straightforward product. And the coverage range is about 8 meters. And this is a guarantee. Yeah? This 8 meters of defense is a guarantee from Enagic because we have done a lot of lab testing. In fact, you guys will be receiving the reports very soon. It will be posted online on the coverage range of Emguard. However, if the Emguard was placed in an open area, example, a big hall or an office space, a big office space without any walls or metal beams, the coverage could be a lot more than this. But to be conservative, 8 meters of defense is a guarantee. So some of you who are living in bigger houses, all right, or you have double story, triple story, whatever, I don't know how big some of your houses are, you may need more than one Emguard for your home. You just use this 8 meters of defense to do a calculation for your home. Where do you want to put the Emguard and how many units you need? The best person to ask about this information is the person that invited you into this Zoom today. If you're new, they would advise you accordingly. Okay, so the last slide for the product presentation is I'm going to share with you a summary, because this technology is actually quite elaborate and nobody can do this but Enagic. But I'm going to make it easy to understand. Now, a typical EMR radiation source has a carrier for the radiation density, the density to affect us, our brain, our eyes, and everything. So that's how the radiation travels. Okay. Now the Emguard technology, once it's turned on, it sends out something called a harmonics frequency. Okay. Now the harmonics frequency has an opposing amplitude to your radiation source. So it sends out a harmonics frequency that is actually designed to break the pathway of the EMR source. So when you break the pathway of the EMR source, it reduces the electric field intensity within its coverage range. In layman term, if the Emguard is placed and within the coverage range, there is no limit how many devices is in that coverage range. It could be 1 phone, 10 phone, 100 phones. As long as it's within the coverage range, Emguard will successfully suppress 95% of the EMR emitted by the phone. And how does Enagic back it up? This is the lab report that they have done. On the left, it is a report where they actually measure the electric field intensity of a phone, the EMR source, and you can see it's like connected, right? That's how the carrier is, all right? So you can see that there is radiation. But on the right, once the Emguard technology is turned on, you can see is no longer connected. That is all the peaks. Can you see that? It has totally suppressed and cut away the electromagnetic radiation pathway of the EMR source. All right. So you're left with only the peaks. So the energy has been diverted, and that's how Emguard, the technology, is designed to protect us, to cut the pathway of the radiation, to protect us from radiation harm. All right. So the Emguard, before I go into this slide, I'm going to share another video. I'm going to share with you guys how the Emguard actually works live, because I think I have not shown that video yet. I'm going to show this one. Okay, I'm not going to share the sound because I would narrate through it. 1 second. Okay. Okay. All right. So now I shot this video, and so if you're using a lot of phones and laptops and all that, I'm going to share with you how the Emguard actually works. And I have a detector. Now, the detector will actually show you the reading on the phone, which is well above 2000 microwatts. The reading on the laptop, which is well above 2000 microwatts, is overloading. And I'm going to show you right now what happens when the Emguard is turned on. And it's turned on very easily by just plugging in into a USB-C to a power source. And when I turn on the detector and I put it onto the phone, ladies and gentlemen, this is where everything changed for me when I saw this demo. Can you see the detector actually shows 0? Can you guys see that? I'm just going to rewind a little bit. All right. So when the detector is placed back onto the laptop, it is showing the reading of 0, which means the detector is unable to pick up any electromagnetic radiation interference from the laptop once the Emguard was turned on. So long story short, when this unit Emguard is turned on, you're actually protecting yourself and your entire family within the coverage range from electromagnetic radiation harm. All right. Now, in Malaysia, the Emguard goes for 6,620 ringgit. In Singapore, it's about 2,000 over Sing with your taxes. I don't remember the exact price, but globally, Emguard will be marketing at 1,480 US dollars pre-tax. All right. Now, at this price point, you know, the company is selling this technology lower than some of the iPhones that is being sold today. Would you guys agree? Some of the iPhones now are selling for 2,000 US dollars. And people change it every 3 to 4 years, you know? And does it really add so much value into our life? Not much. It's a radiation source anyways. But here we're talking about a device. Only Enagic can do it in the market right now. And it is $1,500. I believe that it is a no-brainer, right? To invest $1,500 to protect ourselves from the harmful effects of EMR. All right. So, ladies and gentlemen, this is the Emguard product demonstration. The tagline of Enagic is change your environment, change your life, because the company believes that if you're really able to harmonize your environment, your mood will be better, your energy levels will be better. Who here you're already using Emguard in the chat, in a Zoom room? Type Emguard in the chat box. You're already a user. Type Emguard. All right. Now, and who here, you're already using Emguard and you have gotten positive effects on your body? Type 8 in the chat box. So type Emguard if you're already using Emguard, and type 8 if you have gotten positive effects on your body. Okay?